They thought Earth was just a small, insignificant planet. The Galactic Council issued a decree to control them, but humans had been preparing in secret for centuries. Fleets unleashed with precision, strategies no one could predict. The galaxy watched in awe as the Council's power crumbled. Humanity had risen, unstoppable, smart, and ready to rule the stars. Subscribe now to witness the full story of Earth's rise and the galaxy's silence. The Galactic Council had gathered in the heart of a colossal space station that orbited a dying star. Its chambers were massive, stretching thousands of meters with walls covered in intricate panels that displayed the affairs of countless civilizations. Delegates from hundreds of worlds sat in concentric circles. Their forms varied from gaseous beings that shimmered like liquid metal to towering creatures with armored exoskeletons. The air vibrated with authority and tension as the council prepared to discuss a matter that had alarmed even the most stoic members. Reports had been coming in for decades about the progress of a small blue planet in the Sol system, a world they had mostly ignored until now. Observers had noticed humans developing technology at a pace that defied expectations. Starships capable of reaching distant planets, artificial intelligence that learned faster than anything known, and strategies that suggested a level of coordination unmatched in galactic history. These advancements had triggered debates among the Council for years. Some members argued to monitor quietly. Others demanded a formal decree to assert control and prevent potential rebellion. Finally, the Council's leader, a being of shifting forms known only as Varel, rose to address the assembly. Their voice resonated directly in the minds of all present, commanding attention without the need for sound. Earth has crossed thresholds we cannot ignore, Varel declared, their form pulsating with authority. Its inhabitants are no longer primitive. They have grown capable of influencing systems far beyond their own. The Council cannot allow such growth to continue unchecked. A wave of murmurs, clicks, and vibrations rippled through the room as members weighed the implications. Some looked fearful, others intrigued, but none dared speak against the decree. The decree was simple but absolute. Earth was to submit to the Council's authority. Its technology, resources, and strategic plans were to be made available for supervision. Any resistance would be met with overwhelming force. The Council demanded immediate compliance, leaving no room for negotiation. Messages were to be transmitted across the galaxy, warning the humans that their independence was over, and any refusal would result in catastrophic consequences. The language of the decree was cold and precise, reflecting the Council's centuries of rule over countless civilizations. To ensure that no one underestimated the seriousness of their warning, the Council displayed examples of worlds that had previously resisted. Entire fleets reduced to debris, planets quarantined, civilizations erased. The holographic display projected histories of rebellion and the absolute futility of resisting the Council. The visual was meant to instill fear, to make humans understand the cost of defiance before they even received the message. Yet, amid this display of power, some Council members questioned whether fear alone would be sufficient. The decree was then encoded into a transmission strong enough to reach light years away. Utilizing subspace channels and quantum communication to ensure it could not be ignored or intercepted, every detail was included, from the expected timelines for compliance to the description of Council authority. The message would arrive on Earth like a hammer striking an anvil, leaving no doubt about the Council's intentions. Even the most optimistic human minds could sense the weight of the ultimatum. As the assembly concluded, delegates slowly rose and left the chamber, their forms fading into beams of energy that traveled back to their home worlds. But the echo of the decree lingered, vibrating through the Council station like a warning bell. Each delegate carried the memory of Earth's potential threat and the decision that had been made. The Council believed this was the moment to assert dominance and maintain order in a galaxy where they had ruled unchallenged for millennia. Little did they know, the humans who received this message would not react with fear or surrender. Instead, a quiet determination began to grow. Even as the Council's eyes watched, unaware of the scale of what they had triggered, Earth was preparing in ways no one could foresee. A force that had been underestimated, dismissed, and ignored was about to show that the decree, no matter how authoritative, could be met with a response so profound it would echo across the stars. The council's chamber emptied, leaving only the hum of machinery and the lingering tension of anticipation. The decree was complete, transmitted, and final. It was a statement of power, a demand for obedience, and a test of the unknown species known as humans. Across the galaxy, civilizations awaited the response, some expecting compliance, others bracing for defiance. But no one could predict that Earth's reply would silence the entire galaxy in ways the Council had never imagined. The message from the Galactic Council arrived on Earth in the form of a brilliant pulsating transmission that instantly captured the attention of every space agency, government, and scientific organization. Satellites across the planet detected the quantum signals, decoding them into a message that left even the most experienced analysts in awe. Humanity had always sensed that they were being watched, but no one expected an official declaration from the most powerful civilizations in the galaxy. The words of the decree were clear, uncompromising, and filled with warnings of catastrophic consequences if humans did not comply. Governments immediately convened emergency sessions, world leaders appearing on screens to discuss the implications. Scientists and engineers were summoned to provide assessments. Military advisors analyzed potential threats. Yet despite the gravity of the situation, the reaction was not panic. It was a mixture of shock, curiosity, and a growing resolve. The humans had faced crises before, but this was unlike anything in history. A direct challenge from beings who had ruled the stars for millennia. In research centers from North America to Asia, teams worked tirelessly to interpret every detail of the message. The language, though alien in its structure, revealed strategies, expectations, and timelines. Analysts were astonished at the Council's thoroughness. Each phrase carried authority and subtle warnings. But amidst the fearsome tone, a sense of strategy began to emerge among human leaders. They realized that understanding the message fully was the key to survival, not mere compliance. The media erupted with speculation. People around the world watched in disbelief as news outlets broadcast the decree in real time. Citizens debated what it meant for humanity's future. Some feared total annihilation. Others predicted a display of human ingenuity that could rival the Council. Across continents, ordinary people began to sense a shift. The world was no longer just their planet. It was a player in a larger galactic chess game. Every mind felt the weight of responsibility and potential. Military installations went into high alert, but not for immediate combat. Instead, commanders focused on coordination, assessing the readiness of fleets, technology, and strategic resources. Every branch of defense worked together, building simulations and contingency plans. Even as nations cooperated in unprecedented ways, scientists explored whether the Council's warning contained hidden weaknesses or overestimations. Humanity's greatest strength, the ability to adapt, innovate, and unite, was awakening. At the same time, global communication networks buzzed with clandestine coordination. Governments shared intelligence discreetly. Private organizations offered expertise in engineering, AI, and propulsion. An intricate web of collaboration formed, linking minds across the planet. From the laboratories in small towns to massive orbital stations, every individual contributing to the growing understanding of the Council's message. It was not fear that drove them, but determination to respond wisely and decisively. The Council's words had another effect. They reminded humanity of its potential, that in the vast darkness of space, the human species could rise beyond the limits of Earth. This realization ignited a quiet fire in scientists, engineers, and strategists. They began designing systems, simulations, and technologies that were no longer theoretical, but intended for actual defense and strategic demonstration. The decree had become a catalyst, transforming fear into focus, urgency into preparation, and uncertainty into action. In cities, labs, and military bases, people discussed possibilities, from peaceful compliance to tactical response. Leaders understood that any visible panic would only embolden the Council. Instead, they focused on unity, intelligence, and long-term planning. The world's best minds analyzed the Council's fleets, technologies, and historical records, drawing insights from every source, trying to predict how humans could protect themselves and gain an advantage. Despite the initial shock, there was a quiet confidence growing among humanity, a collective understanding that fear alone could not define their response. Decisions were made with precision. Resources were allocated efficiently, and teams were mobilized. Every moment of preparation felt monumental, each calculation a step toward readiness. The decree had arrived as a warning, but it was also an invitation for humanity to prove that they were more than just a small blue planet. As the first day of analysis ended, humanity had not cowered. They had organized, united, and begun the process of turning a threat into opportunity. Across the globe, leaders and scientists recognized that the Council had underestimated the resilience, ingenuity, and determination of humans. The message had been received, understood, and studied. And while the galaxy awaited a fearful response, Earth was quietly preparing something far greater, something that would soon make the entire Council rethink their assumptions. Humans had long anticipated the possibility of contact with other civilizations, but few could imagine the scale of preparation that had been quietly unfolding for centuries. Beneath the surface of everyday life, secret programs flourished, hidden from public eyes and even from most governments. Scientists, engineers, and strategists collaborated in secrecy, building technologies that could not only defend Earth, but project its power across the stars. These programs were not sudden responses to the Council's decree. They were the result of decades of foresight, careful planning, and innovation. Deep underground bunkers, orbital facilities, and remote planetary bases held the most advanced fleets ever conceived by humanity. Starships with engines capable of surpassing conventional speed limits were ready. Their hulls reinforced with materials designed to withstand even the most sophisticated alien weapons. Weapon systems had been tested in simulations countless times, each iteration improving accuracy, efficiency, and response speed. Humanity's engineers had studied physics, energy, and artificial intelligence to create tools that could rival the galaxy's most powerful civilizations. Artificial intelligence played a central role in these preparations. Machines that could learn, adapt, and strategize in ways humans alone could not were deployed across networks. They monitored simulations, predicted outcomes, and coordinated strategies in real time. These AI systems were not mere assistants. They were the brains behind complex operations, capable of making split-second decisions during scenarios that could determine the survival of the planet. Every calculation was precise, every variable considered, ensuring that when the time came, humanity would strike with perfect coordination. Training programs ran continuously, preparing pilots, soldiers, engineers, and analysts for scenarios that many could not even comprehend. Human crews learned to operate ships in unison across vast distances, coordinating attacks, defenses, and maneuvers as if they shared a single mind. Drills were rigorous, pushing limits of endurance, focus, and creativity. Each participant understood that failure was not an option, and that the outcome of their training could determine the survival of every human on the planet. The hidden preparations also extended beyond technology and military might. Intelligence networks studied the galaxy meticulously, tracking civilizations, fleets, and communication patterns. Humans learned the strengths and weaknesses of other species, their political structures, and their military doctrines. Every observation fed into simulations that tested countless strategies. The result was a network of knowledge and readiness that allowed humanity to predict and counter almost any move the Council might make. Innovation was not limited to weapons or ships. Humans experimented with energy manipulation, stealth technologies, and advanced propulsion systems that defied known physical limits. Scientists collaborated with engineers to develop hybrid systems, combining alien research recovered from past exploratory missions with human ingenuity. Every project was treated as a secret jewel, hidden from potential spies, yet ready to be unleashed with devastating effect when the time arrived. Even civilians contributed, often unknowingly, by advancing scientific knowledge, technological skills, and creative thinking. Universities, research institutions, and private companies became incubators for ideas that fed into the hidden preparations. The collective effort of humanity created a foundation stronger than any single program, a web of intelligence, technology, and strategy that connected every corner of the globe. In essence, the planet itself had become a hidden fortress, prepared for the challenge that the Council's decree had finally exposed. As the Council's message traveled across space, humans did not rush into panic. They analyzed it with precision, matching decades of preparation against the alien threat. Leaders coordinated with scientists and strategists, determining how to reveal the hidden strength of humanity at the right moment. Timing was critical. Every piece of technology, every trained crew, and every simulation had been waiting for the day when humans would no longer be underestimated. Despite all the preparation, secrecy remained paramount. Even high-ranking officials outside the preparation programs knew only fragments. The full extent of humanity's readiness was a mystery, a carefully maintained advantage. This secrecy ensured that when humanity finally responded, the galaxy would be stunned, unaware of the scale and sophistication of the tools and strategies prepared in silence. Humans were not acting out of fear or aggression. Their hidden preparations were a testament to resilience, ingenuity, and foresight. They had built a system capable of defending themselves and asserting their place among the stars. And as the Council's decree spread through the galaxy, humans continued their quiet preparations, strengthening fleets, refining strategies, and waiting for the precise moment when decades of planning would turn into decisive action. Every day brought incremental improvements, subtle enhancements, and renewed coordination. The hidden preparations were no longer just a precaution. They were the foundation of a force that, when revealed, could shock the galaxy, challenge centuries of dominance, and show that humans were a species not to be underestimated. The quiet work beneath the surface of the world, the underground labs, the orbital stations, and the minds of brilliant strategists were all ready to transform Earth from a small planet into a power that would silence the entire galaxy. Earth's response to the Council's decree was carefully planned, measured, and unlike anything the galaxy had expected, leaders assembled in secure communication hubs, drafting messages that were calm yet filled with underlying confidence. Diplomats and scientists worked together to craft statements that would convey both intelligence and restraint. They knew the galaxy expected fear, panic, or immediate surrender, but humanity had no intention of showing weakness. Every word of the message was deliberate, designed to reveal just enough to let the Council know that humans were aware, prepared, and not intimidated. The message began with acknowledgement of the Council's authority, respectful in tone but subtly assertive. It conveyed understanding of the galactic hierarchy while simultaneously hinting at Earth's own capabilities. Humans did not insult, threaten, or boast recklessly. Instead, they presented facts about their progress in technology, exploration, and defense. The language was precise, demonstrating the intelligence, coordination, and unity of Earth's inhabitants. This balance between respect and confidence created a response that was unprecedented in galactic diplomacy. Alongside the textual message, visual transmissions were sent, showing simulations, fleet formations, and defensive capabilities. Every image was carefully curated, designed to intrigue and unsettle rather than provoke. The Council would see humans as organized, capable, and surprisingly strategic, rather than naive or primitive. Engineers and AI specialists ensured that the transmission could not be tampered with or misinterpreted. The holographic simulations allowed the Council to witness humanity's coordination, showing that even without direct confrontation, Earth had reached a level of preparedness few could imagine. The timing of the response was critical. It arrived after the Council's decree had spread across their monitored sectors, just enough delay to demonstrate patience, control, and confidence. Humans understood that hesitation was not fear. It was strategy. Waiting to respond allowed the Council to feel a false sense of certainty, believing their warning would crush any potential resistance. But the calm and measured approach of Earth's response planted seeds of doubt, curiosity, and unease among the Council members. Humanity's delegates employed subtle psychological strategies within their communication. They anticipated how the Council might interpret statements and images, using simulations of alien behavior, past Council decisions, and historical reactions. Humans crafted messages that would leave a lasting impression. The Council's members, accustomed to civilizations trembling before their authority, were instead confronted with composure, intelligence, and a quiet sense of defiance. For the first time, some Council members questioned whether their power could be absolute. Earth's response also included offers of cooperation and dialogue, carefully framed. They suggested scientific exchanges and knowledge sharing, but only on equal terms. The message was clear. Humans were capable of collaboration, but submission was not negotiable. By presenting potential for partnership alongside evidence of strength, humanity demonstrated strategic thinking that the Council had rarely seen. This combination of diplomacy, intelligence, and subtle assertiveness created a ripple of uncertainty through the galaxy. Behind the scenes, military strategists monitored potential reactions to the response, using simulations to predict how the Council might react to both words and images. Every contingency was considered, including attempts at intimidation, misinformation, or sudden attacks. Humanity's response was not just a message, it was a demonstration of readiness, showing that they could anticipate moves, adapt quickly, and maintain composure even under direct threat. The effect of the response on humans themselves was profound. Across Earth, citizens and officials felt a sense of empowerment. They had communicated with the most powerful beings in the galaxy without panic, without surrender. Their message reflected decades of hidden preparation, intelligence gathering, and technological advancement. Confidence spread as the response proved that humans could engage in interstellar diplomacy with strategy and precision. The unity and coordination required for such a response strengthened global collaboration in ways never seen before. When the Council received Earth's message, reactions varied. Some members were intrigued by the intelligence and subtlety displayed. Others felt unease at the implication that humans had been preparing quietly for decades. Even the most arrogant delegates sensed that Earth might not be as controllable as they had assumed. The calm, measured, and strategically crafted response had shifted the perception of humans in the galaxy. They were no longer merely a primitive species. They were emerging as a force to be reckoned with. Earth had spoken, and the silence that followed carried more weight than any threat could. The Council expected submission, but instead received composure, strategy, and quiet power. Humanity's message had demonstrated that they understood the stakes and were prepared for whatever might come. This response, both respectful and assertive, set the stage for the galaxy to witness a species that could negotiate, strategize, and command attention without aggression. A single transmission had reshaped perceptions and planted the seeds for a revelation that would soon silence the entire galaxy. The Galactic Council, confident in their centuries of power, initially dismissed Earth's calm and measured response as nothing more than a bluff. Delegates exchanged glances, some with curiosity, others with barely concealed amusement. They had ruled countless civilizations, watched species rise and fall, and crushed rebellions with ease. The idea that a single planet, a species considered primitive by galactic standards, could pose a real challenge seemed almost laughable. Yet the Council could not entirely ignore the implications. So they continued to plan, strategize, and prepare for what they assumed would be a straightforward enforcement. Council fleets were mobilized in calculated formations, ready to demonstrate overwhelming power if Earth showed even a hint of defiance. Their ships were massive, capable of destroying entire planetary infrastructures within moments. Advanced energy weapons, shields, and defensive systems were all deployed. The leaders believed that once the humans realized the futility of resistance, submission would be immediate. Every maneuver was monitored, every fleet positioned to ensure that no chance of surprise remained. They had done this countless times before and expected the same outcome. Meanwhile, Earth quietly observed, using its hidden networks and surveillance systems. Humans monitored every movement of the Council's fleets, every communication, and every signal. They analyzed the alien technology, the behavior patterns of delegates, and the deployment strategies of the fleets. AI systems ran simulations at incredible speeds, predicting possible outcomes and optimizing responses. Humans did not panic. Instead, they gathered information, turning the Council's confidence against them. Every calculation and observation was another step toward a strategy that would catch the galaxy completely off guard. The Council's dismissive attitude revealed a critical flaw: overconfidence. They assumed their authority and advanced technology guaranteed obedience, but they underestimated human ingenuity, adaptability, and foresight. Humans had spent decades preparing, building systems designed to neutralize precisely the kinds of threats the Council relied upon. Every fleet, Every station, every weapon had been developed with potential interstellar conflict in mind. The Council's assumption that fear alone could control humanity was about to be proven dangerously incorrect. Debates erupted within the Council chambers. Despite outward appearances of unity, some members began to question the dismissive stance. "What if Earth has been preparing?" whispered a delegate with crystalline limbs. "They appear calm, but their intelligence and resourcefulness could be greater than we anticipate." Others scoffed, claiming that no species so young could match the experience and technology of the Council. Yet the seed of doubt had been planted, a subtle unease that even the most arrogant delegates could not entirely dismiss. As the Council continued to underestimate, humans quietly refined their strategies. Coordinating between fleets, planetary defenses, and AI-driven simulations, humans prepared not just for defense, but for decisive, precise action. Each plan accounted for potential retaliation, every variable considered. Every day, Earth's systems grew stronger, its networks more interconnected, its knowledge of the Council's weaknesses more complete. The calm response that the Council had dismissed was, in truth, a sign of meticulous preparation and confidence, not submission. The Council's fleets, massive and imposing, moved through space with rigid efficiency. Their commanders believed that a show of strength alone would compel humans to comply. Yet this movement was carefully observed. Every adjustment, every formation change, every energy signature recorded by Earth sensors, humans used the Council's own patterns against them, predicting their responses and preparing countermeasures. The galaxy's most powerful civilizations were unwittingly feeding information to the very species they believed would bow. In their overconfidence, the Council failed to consider human psychology. Humans did not act out of fear. They acted out of strategy, foresight, and the quiet determination to survive and assert their place. The Council assumed that a direct threat would inspire panic, but humans understood that patience, observation, and preparation were far more powerful tools than brute force. By underestimating their opponent, the Council created the conditions for a response that would be as precise as it was unexpected. Even the Council's advisors and intelligence officers, tasked with predicting human behavior, struggled to account for decades of secret preparation. Humanity's hidden capabilities, their AI systems, their coordination, and the sheer scale of readiness were invisible to those who relied only on surface-level observation. The Council believed they had the advantage of experience and technology, but humans had the advantage of unpredictability, adaptability, and quiet planning. Every underestimated action, every dismissed possibility, became an opportunity for humanity to gain the upper hand. The Council continued to prepare for what they believed would be a simple suppression of rebellion, unaware that humans were already calculating the moment when silence would turn into decisive action. Every fleet, every outpost, every strategic decision made by the Council fed into the intelligence that humans had meticulously gathered. The overconfidence of the Council created blind spots, and those blind spots would soon allow Earth to demonstrate its true strength, intelligence, and resilience. The galaxy's most powerful body was about to learn that underestimating humans was the gravest mistake it had ever made. When the moment arrived, humanity acted with precision and coordination that stunned even their most skeptical analysts. Fleets that had been hidden for decades emerged simultaneously from orbital stations, deep space bunkers, and remote colonies. Each vessel moved with purpose, following strategies rehearsed countless times in simulations. Their engines ignited in unison, leaving trails of brilliant energy that lit up dark sectors of space. The Council's monitoring systems detected the movement too late, underestimating both the speed and scale of the human operation. Weapon systems activated silently, guided by advanced AI networks that coordinated every shot with split-second accuracy. Energy beams, missiles, and drones targeted strategic Council outposts, disabling them before they could react effectively. Humans avoided unnecessary destruction, focusing instead on precision strikes that would incapacitate fleets and infrastructure. The aim was not chaos, but a demonstration of calculated power. Each strike revealed the level of preparation and intelligence humans had amassed in secret. The first fleets of the Council were taken by surprise. Their massive warships, designed to withstand heavy assault, struggled against technology they had never encountered. Humans exploited weaknesses the Council had assumed were irrelevant. Coordinated attacks bypassed defenses, disrupted communication networks, and neutralized command centers. Within hours, entire sectors that had been considered secure fell into temporary paralysis. The galaxy, accustomed to instant obedience to the Council, could not comprehend the effectiveness of the human offensive. Earth's forces did not act recklessly. Every maneuver had been tested in simulations to anticipate possible counterattacks. AI systems calculated probabilities and directed fleets accordingly. Humans maintained formation and composure, even as Council ships tried desperate evasive actions. The combination of human intuition and machine precision created a force multiplier that no single Council species could match. Even the most experienced Council commanders realized too late that they had underestimated a species they considered insignificant. Communication networks between Council fleets were hacked and disrupted with unprecedented efficiency. Humans used the Council's own technology against them, turning surveillance, navigation, and energy distribution systems into tools of confusion. Fleets became isolated, command hierarchies broke down, and panic began to spread among Council personnel. In the midst of the chaos, humans maintained coordination. Their calm and strategic mindset allowed them to strike decisively without being distracted by unexpected variables. The scale of the human assault shocked not only the Council, but the broader galaxy. Observers from distant civilizations who had monitored the conflict reported fleets disappearing, outposts falling silent, and command structures crumbling, all without humans revealing their full capabilities. Every strike, every maneuver was designed to demonstrate not just strength, but intelligence and discipline. The Council's assumptions about fear and submission had been shattered, replaced by a new reality. Humans were strategic, adaptive, and unstoppable when properly prepared. Beyond raw firepower, humans used advanced stealth and evasion technologies to ensure minimal casualties on their side. Ships shifted frequencies, phased through energy shields, and used decoy drones to confuse sensors. Council forces struggled to track movements, their attacks often missing targets entirely. Meanwhile, human crews executed complex battle sequences that synchronized orbital defenses with deep space offensives. Each operation a symphony of strategy and precision, designed to incapacitate without unnecessary destruction. The Council's delegates, watching from secure stations, could hardly believe what they saw. Months of planning and thousands of years of assumed superiority had been undone within hours. Humans had transformed from an underestimated species into a tactical genius in action. The calm that had marked their initial response now became the perfect cover for absolute effectiveness. Every maneuver, strike, and countermeasure reinforced the message that Earth would not be controlled or intimidated. Even as chaos spread among Council fleets, humans maintained focus. They avoided overextension, calculated every move, and prioritized critical targets. Their strategy ensured that no Council outpost could coordinate reinforcements effectively. In addition, humans broadcast messages demonstrating their technological and tactical superiority, a psychological impact as much as a physical one. The galaxy witnessed the awakening of a power that had been underestimated for centuries. By the end of the first coordinated strike, the results were undeniable. Entire Council fleets lay disabled or disorganized, vital communication lines severed, and planetary outposts incapacitated. Humans had executed a precision strike that combined technology, intelligence, and strategy in a way the Council had never imagined. The effectiveness of the attack silenced doubt, shattered arrogance, and established humanity as a force capable of commanding attention and respect across the galaxy. Earth's calculated strike was not just a demonstration of power, but a revelation. It showed that preparation, intelligence, and unity could overcome even the most advanced opponents. The Council had underestimated humans for centuries, and that miscalculation had now been exposed on a scale that no one could ignore. Humanity had emerged from secrecy, readiness, and strategy, turning silence into a resounding declaration of dominance that would echo throughout the galaxy. The galaxy fell into an almost surreal silence as news of humanity's precision strike spread from system to system. Fleets that had once seemed invincible were now crippled, their commanders scrambling to regain control. Planets that had relied on Council protection realized that their sense of security had vanished in moments. Across distant sectors, civilizations watched in disbelief, unable to comprehend that a single species, previously considered primitive, could execute such a flawless campaign. The sheer audacity, strategy, and effectiveness of humans left the galaxy stunned. Communications between council members became chaotic, as reports of destroyed fleets, disabled outposts, and disorganized forces poured in. Delegates argued over the speed and precision of the human strikes. Some could not believe their sensors, thinking the reports were exaggerated, but independent observers confirmed the devastation. The unexpected display of tactical brilliance forced even the most arrogant civilizations to reconsider their assumptions. Entire sectors fell into quiet observation, waiting for the next move of Earth's forces. The human approach was not reckless destruction, but calculated dominance. Each strike, each maneuver demonstrated intelligence, strategy, and control. Not raw power alone, but an understanding of how to neutralize threats efficiently. Humanity had managed to turn the Council's own confidence and assumptions into weaknesses, using observation, prediction, and preparation to exact precise results without overexposing themselves. In council chambers, panic began to spread. For centuries, members had ruled with unquestioned authority, but now, faced with humans, their command structures and fleets had been compromised within hours. Advisors scrambled to propose solutions. Fleets attempted counterattacks, and communication channels tried to reestablish contact. Yet the human strategy anticipated nearly every move, rendering traditional responses ineffective. The realization settled slowly, but with growing intensity. Earth's forces were beyond simple intimidation. Across the galaxy, other civilizations began to whisper about the rise of a new power. Observers had long assumed that humans were insignificant, a minor species confined to a small planet. But the efficiency, coordination, and strategy of the strikes suggested something far greater. Humans had combined ingenuity, advanced technology, and meticulous preparation to achieve a level of dominance that no council species had expected. The sudden shift in power dynamics sent shockwaves, sparking fear and awe in equal measure. On Earth, humans continued to maintain composure, their operations perfectly synchronized. Despite the galaxy's astonishment, there was no celebration or arrogance, only focus and discipline. Every fleet remained in formation, systems monitored, and contingencies prepared. Humans understood that the demonstration of power had to be precise and measured. To show capability without unnecessary aggression, the calculated response magnified the psychological impact across the galaxy, reinforcing the lesson that humans could not be underestimated. Council fleets that survived initial strikes struggled to regroup, but every attempt was met with anticipatory strategies. Humans had studied their patterns, weaknesses, and decision-making processes. The result was a continuous demonstration of superiority without overextension. It was not mere destruction, but a clear statement. Earth was ready, capable, and united. Their approach communicated that any further aggression against them would be met with absolute efficiency and overwhelming response. Meanwhile, planetary systems once aligned with the Council began to reconsider loyalties. The demonstration of human power forced them to acknowledge a new reality. Alliances were questioned. Some civilizations opted for neutrality, while others secretly began preparing their own defenses. The ripple effect of Earth's actions extended far beyond immediate strikes, influencing politics, commerce, and strategic planning across multiple sectors. Humans had not only silenced the Council, but altered the perception of power in the galaxy. Psychological shock also spread through the Council. Delegates who had assumed compliance now faced the undeniable fact that fear and tradition were insufficient against humans. Confidence eroded as questions emerged. How far had humans prepared? What capabilities remained hidden? Could Earth sustain its strategy? The uncertainty spread faster than any fleet could move, leaving the Council paralyzed in a combination of awe, disbelief, and anxiety. Humanity had achieved the rarest form of dominance: silent, calculated, and undeniable. As the dust settled on the initial campaign, humans maintained vigilance, their forces ready to respond at a moment's notice. The galaxy had witnessed the awakening of a species that had been underestimated for centuries, and the result was a silence filled with respect, caution, and fear. Humanity's precision, intelligence, and restraint had transformed perception. rewriting what civilizations thought possible and leaving the once proud council aware that they could no longer act with unquestioned authority. The galaxy now understood that a single planet, united and prepared, could redefine power. Humanity had not only neutralized immediate threats, but established a precedent, demonstrating that intellect, preparation, and strategy could silence centuries of assumed dominance. The once unshakable confidence of the Council now faced doubt, uncertainty, and a humbling reality. Humans had proven that their rise was unstoppable, deliberate, and irreversible, and the echo of that realization resonated in every corner of the galaxy. Humanity had transformed the galaxy's perception of power in ways that were immediate and profound. Following the precision strikes and strategic displays of Parts 6 and 7, the Council and other civilizations were forced to acknowledge a new reality. Earth was no longer a minor, primitive planet. It had become a symbol of intelligence, preparation, and unstoppable will. Across planetary systems, diplomats, scientists, and military strategists reviewed the outcomes of the initial engagement, trying to understand the full scope of what humans had accomplished. They quickly realized that this was not just a temporary advantage, but a permanent shift in galactic balance. The Council, once composed of beings who believed themselves untouchable, faced a humbling truth. Their fleets had been neutralized, their command networks disrupted, and their influence over subordinate civilizations weakened. Even the most powerful delegates were forced into secrecy and consultation, trying to recover a semblance of control. But Earth's careful planning and tactical superiority had ensured that any hasty counterattack would be futile. Humans had anticipated possible retaliation, and their strategies covered every contingency, leaving the Council paralyzed with uncertainty. Other civilizations across the galaxy began reassessing their stance toward humanity. Observers who had long dismissed humans as insignificant now calculated potential alliances, trade agreements, and defense strategies. Every civilization realized that to ignore Earth's power would be dangerous. Yet, at the same time, they witnessed that humanity's approach was not recklessly aggressive. The calculated precision of the strikes and the careful management of collateral effects demonstrated discipline, strategy, and a level of intelligence that demanded respect. Earth's leadership acted with foresight, using the aftermath to establish diplomatic signals and subtle demonstrations of continued strength. Scientists and military strategists monitored Council communications and fleet movements to ensure that no threat could escalate unnoticed. At the same time, Earth prepared to extend influence beyond its immediate systems, using both technology and diplomacy to show that humans could be partners, allies, or adversaries, depending on how other civilizations responded. The message was clear: respect humanity or face consequences, but cooperation was possible if approached wisely. The psychological effect of humanity's rise was felt across all sectors. The Council's once proud image was shattered, leaving uncertainty and doubt in its place. Entire political structures reconsidered long-held strategies. Previously stable alliances became fragile, and fear of the unknown drove innovation among many civilizations. Humans had accomplished something unprecedented. They had demonstrated that a single species, united and strategically prepared, could shift the dynamics of an entire galaxy without a single act of reckless aggression. Within Earth's own society, the effects of success were measured and deliberate. Leaders and strategists reinforced the importance of continued vigilance, training, and intelligence gathering. Humans understood that while they had achieved a spectacular demonstration of capability, the galaxy was vast and full of unknowns. Preparations continued for both defense and potential expansion. Every fleet, station, and research facility remained in readiness. Humanity had turned decades of hidden work into a living, adaptable power network capable of responding instantly to any new challenge. Communication networks extended humanity's influence without direct confrontation. Messages of capability, calculated warnings, and potential collaboration were broadcast strategically, ensuring that other civilizations recognized both the power and discipline of Earth. The result was an atmosphere of respect and caution, as no being in the galaxy could ignore the demonstration of preparation and intelligence. Humans had mastered the art of presence without unnecessary destruction, of dominance without chaos, which further solidified their rising reputation. The Council's delegates, once arrogant and dismissive, now debated among themselves how to rebuild credibility. Their past assumptions about humanity had been catastrophically wrong. Every attempt to project authority was now tempered with the awareness that humans could strike with precision unmatched by any fleet. They had learned that fear alone could no longer enforce obedience, and that underestimating a species capable of foresight, planning, and ingenuity was fatal. Humanity had rewritten the rules of engagement in the galaxy. Over time, a new galactic order began to form. Earth at its center, not through conquest, but through respect earned by strategy, intelligence, and foresight. Humans had proven that civilization, coordination, and careful planning could achieve dominance as effectively as raw power. Other species began to adopt similar approaches, valuing intelligence and preparation over blind aggression. The galaxy entered an era where Earth's name carried weight, not because of size or age, but because humans had demonstrated they were capable of mastering complexity, strategy, and foresight beyond expectation. In every corner of the galaxy, the story of Earth's rise circulated, inspiring awe, caution, and curiosity. Humanity had achieved what few thought possible, transforming from a small, underestimated planet into a civilization whose response to a decree silenced the Council and commanded universal attention. The echoes of this achievement would shape the strategies, politics, and ambitions of civilizations for generations. Humans had not only survived, they had asserted their place in the stars, proving that unity, preparation, and intelligence could redefine destiny in the galaxy.